Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Sunday Night Geekery, and we got a good gang here tonight as usual. So why don't we say hi? We've got Clobbering Times here. It's a guy from, looks like someone from UFO, or is that UFO?
That's UFO.
UFO,
Just
right?
Don't tell on me.
UFO. UFO.
UFO. They
UFO.
say UFO. Well, our wonderful first officer Raquel wants us to say UFO because they say it on the show, but not always. Plenty of times they don't say it.
Yeah, so, like the episodes I was watching.
She says UFO though. What's that, Mark? I'm sorry.
I watched about 6 episodes today. So yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
6. Wow.
I've been running. Yeah, there's too few of them to do that, man. I'm already bumming out that I'm to the end of it.
I'm going to spread it out because I will admit that I actually have that in my queue to watch, and I think I'm going to watch an episode a week so that I can let it last for a long period of time.
Only 26, man, so that's a good idea. And I'm really enjoying it, though.
I remember watching an episode every now and then back in the 70s, and just as a kid, and being creeped out by it, and like, but I want to watch the next episode. But I, as I've been kind of perusing them a little bit, I think I've only seen maybe 8 or 10 of the episodes because a lot of it I don't remember.
I remember almost nothing. I only saw a few here and there, some really crappy bootleg VHS copies in the early 80s. So, and
I'm with you,
it's brand new to me, that which is, and it's just great. Anyway, go ahead, Mark.
Well, no, sorry, I was going to say that's good. Then if you forget episodes or
great,
you get to enjoy them for the first time again, which is awesome. So, and then we want to welcome, of course, the great Pat S, who is joining us again. So, hail, Pat S. Thank you for being here.
I'm going to watch one episode of UFO a year. That way it lasts until my 70s. So I can really enjoy it. Then I'll forget it. I can go back and watch it again. So
there you go, Mr. Smarty Pants. Well done.
Well, I feel the same about Blake 7, right? Because I watched it again last year after watching it in the 80s.
Right.
And it was funny because as I got to season 3, I was, wait, I want to slow down here because I remember how great it was, and now I've gotten through all the good episodes and going into season 4, and I'm like, I only want to watch an episode a week because I don't want it to end.
Yeah. And I'm not with you about the good part. But I love season 4. I think it's different, but I love it. I love it. Man.
I can't wait till we do our Blake 7 stuff because
we're doing it.
Debate you on that. So I love Blake 7. I like season 4. How's that?
I love season 4. There are a couple of bumps, but I love it because it is so different from the other 3. Radically different because they didn't think they were going to get a season 4. But so
yeah, it was great to have a season 4 because you're right. At the time, we didn't think we were getting a season 4.
You're not alone. You're probably in the minority. A lot of fans are the same way. So you're not the only one who has said that, though.
Yeah, especially the last episode, and leading up to
my number 1, by the way. You know that, right?
Yeah, and leading up to that last episode too, there were some pretty awful episodes in the last probably 3 or 4, well, maybe 5 episodes leading up to that.
Oh man, Orbit was greatness, and disturbing.
It was disturbing
in a disturbing way.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about this.
I can't wait. Sorry about that.
No problem. It's all good. That's what we want to talk about stuff. Yeah, I just finished it last week too. So, and I had a massive nightmare the next night. I woke up screaming in bed.
After the finale?
It must have been that night.
It was
I don't
pretty
know.
nightmarish. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I woke up and I was joking, maybe because the finale was so bad, but I was like,
I had to take stress leave for like a week.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
In all seriousness, it really did get to a lot of people back when it first aired. It was the biggest aired broadcast of anything at its time in 1982. But over there, it was like sort of like there. You know how the last episode of MASH here, or last episode of Fugitive before that was so huge. It was really huge over there.
I remember being a kid watching that last episode, and I was upset for a couple of days. I was upset. It'd be like seeing, Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock die in the last episode of TOS. Can you imagine?
It's upsetting, but now that I have it all figured out, I know I can tell everyone. I can instruct everyone.
Avon lives. They didn't die in the end, and Blake's a clone.
It's not even a clone. I have it all figured out, but I can't tell you why. But I've got season 5 planned out already that we'll never have.
Season 5 is all out.
I'm going to tell you what happens in season 5 next.
The clone saga.
The clone saga.
No clone crap at all. No.
No, but that was the way that kind of The Sopranos. I love that fade to black ending, because then you could interpret it every way. So you can interpret it as everyone's dead or everyone survived.
You didn't love it at the time. Nobody loved it.
I did like it. I was one of the few people that liked it.
Actually, no, you know what, Mark? I take that back. I am sure you did like it.
Yeah, no, that's my wife. Yeah, I thought it was cool. Thought it was cool. It's like let him think. No, she was pissed. And she's like, "What happened to the TV? The TV broke? What'd you turn?"
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's just me.
Dude.
But then years later, one of the writers said that actually that was supposed to mean that Soprano, got shot, and that was him fading to black and dying. I remember reading an article about that. So of course, with his character, with the actor passing away in real life, there's no way to bring him back. So I think after that too, I think maybe they would have done a movie or something and brought him back, years later. But I think unfortunately it was too.
They can always do a prequel. So.
Well, they did do that prequel. Yep.
Yeah, they got.
That's right. Yet another movie.
Remember? Yep.
Right.
It just goes to show you how tough it is.
Hate prequels. Passionately hate prequels.
I'm not fond of them either.
If you're going to move the story forward, you got to move on. Enterprise, I love it. You got to move on.
I love it. I love it, and still think they should have done it. How about that? It's a contradiction.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
It's not the good idea, but I still love the show. And the thing is, this shows how extremely difficult it is to end anything. Especially, it's one thing. There are many movies with very satisfying endings, some without. But when it comes to a TV series that lasts with continuing characters, ending it. I mean, we were probably better off in the days when a show just ended and they didn't even know about it. Didn't have to write the last episode.
Yeah.
Now, some of them are okay. The last episode of Bonnie Miller was pretty sad but poignant. MASH was already ended by the time Frank Burns left for me, so I didn't give a crap about that ending like everyone else did. The ending of The Fugitive was huge. It was really good. They handled it because that was a good ongoing story. But sometimes, like, I wasn't a St. Elsewhere fan like everyone else, but that ending is just weird. Like, they didn't know what they were doing. If you remember that ending.
Yeah, how did it St. I used to watch St. It's been 30 years now. How did that end? It was like a dream thing?
Well, they pulled back from a snow globe, and that was the hospital was in this snow globe. In other words, there was no ending at all, which I think that's at least fine because it's like, what?
Oh, they were trying to infer that it was never happened, or
Tommy had autism, and it was all in Tommy's mind.
Or
he was living with his grandfather and great uncle, who were Dr. Anshaw, and I can't remember the other guy's name. I mean, that was showing all as a kid.
The ending of Newhart, though, whew,
that was the dream one, right?
That was great.
That was the dream one, right? Yeah.
And the opposite of that ending would be the ending of Lost. Or let's just be honest here, the entire last season of Lost.
Thank God I stopped watching Lost after the first season, because what a waste that would have been.
It was Lost. That's the worst ending of all time, man. I got to say it's, maybe top 5 worst endings of all time.
And they had some great cast in that show too. But,
there was,
the story
it was a great story, a great idea, and then season 2 happened.
They didn't know where they didn't know where they were going. That's the problem.
It was Jar Jar Abrams. It was doomed to failure.
Box. They obviously didn't map out the season.
Yeah.
So series.
Well,
I mean,
I don't think I'm making the same mistake here, because there's obviously going to be some clear things, and they're going to have little spin-offs after it. But I decided my nephew's got me AMC Plus as a Christmas gift, because I was going to go watch the season of Better Call Saul that I missed, and when I got to AMC Plus, for some reason, even though it's an AMC show, it wasn't on AMC Plus.
It was a license.
So I'm like,
right?
yeah, which makes a lot of sense. So then what I said was,
Wow.
you know what? I'm just going to go ahead because I love the comic books. I was buying them every issue at a time through like the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, which was Walking Dead, not The Walking Dead, Walking Dead comics. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and finish watching the show. So I hadn't seen 3 seasons, y'all. So I caught up on it, and I have to tell you, I watched the second of 3 mid-season finales, and it was boring. And it was all shooting people and excitement and action shots and all, and it was still boring. And I'm just like, oh goodness, just let me get to the next 12 or 16 episodes, whatever the heck it is, and then I'll be done with it. Because I have to say, the guy who wrote the comic, whether you like this or not, it was a bold move. This cat ended the comic series at 94. He could have told everybody's story in depth and announced he was ending it at 100, but he ended it at 94, and you read the end of it, and you're like, wait, did he end the comic? So you go online and you look, and it's like, yeah,
look to see if there's any more.
ended the comic at 94. That's a bold move, dude, and it was a good ending.
It went past way in the hundreds, though.
Well, Robert Kirkman, by the way. And yeah, it went to 193. 195, 190. I know it was short of 200.
Right, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, I meant 190.
Yeah,
I meant he ended up before a big number, which you would have thought would have made a lot of sense.
Well, yeah,
I thought he could have.
I
thought he could have done a whole like 197 on just Negan, right? Because I thought the whole Negan storyline. And if you think Negan's interesting on the show, guys, in the comics, he was freaking fascinating and a lot more hated and a lot better of a redemption arc and everything.
Yeah,
and I thought they could have done. I thought he could have done. I think he could have told adult Carl's story, which is another thing that the show did that was so stupid, which was killing Carl off. And if you don't know that, then you haven't been watching the show, so you don't care. But I mean, talk about taking a tinkle on the source material. What a stupid move, and what a rotten thing to do. That kid turned 18 years old, y'all. He bought a house, and he had these people over at his house. And 6 months later, they wrote this kid off the show for no reason at all.
I mean, it was just Glenn.
No, son.
Carl. The kid played
Carl Grimes.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, and I will admit this to everybody listening today, and this will be the last time I admit this, but it was one of the few times where I never got in on the ground floor of a comic that became extremely valuable. That number 1 issue, a 9.8, and Walking Dead is worth thousands. I kid you not, thousands of dollars. And at the time I looked at it, and my comic book shop guy was like, "Hey, we got this new comic in. It's called The Walking Dead. Do you want me to throw a number 1 in your pull list?" And I went, "It's about zombies. That's not going to go very well." And guess what? I was wrong.
Well, especially because I had an extremely low print run on that.
But he couldn't sell them at the time. Yeah. He had a bunch on his shelf, and he said, "Yeah, I can't sell this comic. You want one?" And I'm like, "It's about zombies. Why would I want to buy that?" And guess what? Bam! Did it ever blow up? So I admit, sometimes the omnipotent, omnipresent Lord Thoth makes mistakes.
But you have 100 copies of Ms. Marvel, though, thankfully.
No, I have 0 copies of Miss Marvel. Wait, now the original Miss Marvel, I actually enjoyed the orial Miss Marvel run.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Carol, when she was a female.
Carol Danvers, back when she was a really good character, not when she got grabbed by Hollywood and made into this whatever it is. But yeah. That's one of the few mistakes I ever made in comic book collecting. Because, and you know what? And Robert Kirkman really, really pushed that story into television and made a mint, man. All respect to Robert Kirkman and the artist Moore. Tony Moore, I think, was the artist in that too.
Yeah.
And you know what? What can I say? Kudos to them.
Yep. Oh, let's say hi to Dad Man. So hail to Dad Man, and he's on his Switch.
Hey,
I'm not sure about the internet connection. So yeah, he's traveling right now. Yeah.
For the years leading up, I remember for years when I was actually reading that comic, I cared about. I came to it late, also LT, but because a friend of mine taught me into it, that and Invincible, and around the same times. And when I was reading those, and I caught up by buying the trades, and then caught up by buying it monthly and stuff, I was really, my son and I we both read it every week, every month when it would come out, and we were pretty excited about it for a while. But did get to the issues like into the 80s and the 70s and 80s. I was kind of getting a little bit tired of it. But I remember saying stuff in the earlier years, wow, this would be an amazing TV show. I can't believe them when they're not. And then it was sort of like, they'll never do it. And then before that was announced, maybe less than a year before it was announced, I just stopped buying it. I got a little irritated with it. You shot Carl, and it was just getting boring to me, and I was tired of it. I was like, and same with Invincible. Around those times, he was really kind of wearing thin on me, so I dropped him. And then a TV show. So I watched the first season, a little bit of the first season, I guess, of Walking Dead, and I just never cared anymore. So I didn't bother with it. I know a lot of my friends really loved it, and I respect that, but the show didn't really interest me that much. I mean, because they did some things different from the comic. It was a good comic for a long time, but
that was what was good too, because I read most of the comics, and I tailed off at the end, but the good thing is we didn't know exactly what was going to happen because they changed it up. Andrea's character was changed. Different characters were changed, so that was and story arcs were changed. I mean, you had the governor, but things were different. And I cut out after they killed Glenn when
issue 100.
Negan showed up. Well, I kept buying the comics, but I cut out on the TV show, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Because it was just too dark and depressing, and it was actually getting me too tense watching it. I was like, my heart rate was going up, and I was like, why the F am I watching this show when it's like nerve wracking.
TV show.
Yeah. It was too dark.
Manipulative.
It was too dark, and around that time, my dad had been. I found out my dad was sick, and I'm like, I just don't want to deal with this show right now. And I think the actors were all phenomenal. Like, really, really good. I think Andrew Lincoln is great, and some of the leads were really good. But you're right. It gets. Of course,
Kirk was a master manipulator as a writer. In the comic, he will start out an issue where the previous issue all right, at the end of it, let's start with the ending. He would end every issue with like, oh my God, punching you in the gut. Wait till next week or month.
Yeah.
You get it, and you're like, okay, all right. And then you're kind of like, I don't know why I got so worked up. And then by the end, he did it all over again. Like, oh my God, punch you right in the face. But after 80 some odd issues of that, you're like, all right, I get it. He did it with Invincible too. He's a gimmick writer.
Yeah, Invincible too. You're right.
Did it? I bought that for years and years, and then after a while, I just got kind of done with it. My favorite thing he's ever written to this day is still Irredeemable Ant-Man.
I love Irredeemable.
That was good. Yeah.
So good.
That was crazy. Yeah.
It was insane.
Totally nuts. I love where he went, where he voyaged, where men often wanted to voyage, shall we say?
With Carol Danvers. Holy shit! That, and I loved it when he was
today.
And when he was he was so immature, he was doing stupid shit like in the vents of the Shield hero carrier, he was having ant races, and shit like that. Just like
it sounds like something I'd do.
It was so funny because he was like, he really was irredeemable. He was a total. O'Grady was a douchebag, and I'm glad that he never did redeem him.
Because it's a different character. Yeah, it's a different.
Yeah.
It's a different guy. Yeah, so he finds the suit, right? So he takes the suit. Yeah,
that guy gets in the Shield like, oh Jesus, Shield agents are.
Yeah, I was glad. Pop Culture Minefield was doing a thing where he was talking about why Gary was talking about why Hal Jordan's the best Green Lantern. He's like,
Hal Jordan is the best Green Lantern.
He's like, I'm not going to go in any. It's stupid. If you don't know why, then go back and read. So he puts up a poll, and Hal Jordan wins like 3-1, right? He's got like in the 70s.
I'm surprised it was that low.
So, even though I understand Hal Jordan is, I'm pushing Guy Gardner, right? Because Guy Gardner's a jerk.
Man, that's it. We can't be friends.
But guys, I like Hal Jordan best. Yeah. But I was playing the devil's advocate and I was pushing it. And of course then Jon Stewart came up and
I actually like Jon Stewart
because somebody tried to like play a weird race card and try to get Keith to be like, hey Keith, Hal Jordan, huh? And Keith's like, dude, Keith's like Jon Stewart, huh? And Keith's like, no, dude, Hal Jordan's the best. So then the funniest thing was somebody brings up Kyle, right? And then they're both like, "No, get out of here with that nonsense. We're not." That's like, and he refused to put him on the pole. So it's just
The hell is
Jon
that one?
Stewart,
But
Hal Jordan, and Guy Gardner.
He saved the Green Lantern Corps. Remember when he got all the energy from the core, and he was basically the power battery.
Screw him. John really got all that attention for being. Let's face it. When he was put on the Justice League cartoon, I didn't watch that cartoon at first.
I actually like that cartoon.
Oh, I love it. But at the first, I had to be screaming because, by the way, this is not supposition. They said as much. Hey, Bud, Bruce, Tim, and others said that these are just a bunch of white guys. If we put Hal Jordan there, we were going to do it first. So in other words, you admit that you used Jon Stewart as a token. And that aggravated me. Hey, Captain Marty Spock, what's up, dude?
Hey, Captain.
I was very angry with that. And
do you know what?
When I watched the show, I really become it was great on there. I have to put up with it, but it still will always bother me. But I think Stewart is great on that show. That's kind of his best portrayal. Better than comics.
Without a doubt, he was really, when you go through that show, he was the only guy that stayed like consistently, and they did a great job with his backstory. And that episode where he goes back and he helps some of his friends who are basically PTSD Marines and stuff and everything. That was just real. And you're like, man, this is a kid's cartoon that's on Friday nights. Who does that? So I really appreciated that. They never hid that he was very proud of his service and very proud to be an American and stuff and all. So he just was maybe the most likable character on that show, certainly the first few seasons. And I think it was a genius move to go from that to Justice League Unlimited. And
I also like his relationship with Hawkgirl too. I think that was a great relationship they had within the Justice League. And I will say this, that if I was a Green Lantern, the person I want on my right hand would be Jon Stewart. His tactical acumen, his ability to be, so he's a Marine, yes, but let's not forget that he's also a incredible mathematician. He's creative. He's got
an architect at one point.
That mathematical, exactly, the architect mind. And you want that as somebody to be part of your planning team. So if you're going to go into battle, he's the guy you want there to be able to say, okay, logically, this is how things are going to work. So you go into battle with Hal because he's just that crazy fighter pilot, Tom Cruise, Top Gun Maverick kind of character, right? He just, that he's going to tear it up, and the bad guys are not going to be able to plan against him because he's so amazingly, exactly. He's this instinctive fighter. He's the guy that you want to be your colonel when you're going into battle. You want John there because you want the planner and the tactician. You want Kyle there because he's this creative force that's just artistic and can come up with plans right out of the ether. And then you want Guy there because you send him first because you know he's going to tear it up. Right? He's going to be that crazy guy that's just going to be so unpredictable that you're going to just say, okay, Guy, you go first and we'll clean up the mess, right? And that's why I love all the Green Lanterns. And I have to admit that Green Lantern is my favorite superhero of all time. I'm a Hal fan, big time. But I just love the Green Lantern Corps. I love how it is just this great organization that's developed over 80 years almost. And almost, we're counting down the time. It's almost 80. And right from Alan Scott right up through the current team. It's I love talking about Green Lantern.
It has been 80, over 80 for Alan Scott.
For Alan Scott, if you include Alan Scott, it's been almost 90.
Right. But you're thinking about the Green Lantern Corps. I only have 2 words for you about Guy Gardner. That's one punch.
One punch.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yep. Yeah.
How did you like? Funniest panels I've ever seen in comic books.
Yeah, it was a classic. The other one was I love the HBO. It's on HBO Max now, but the Green Lantern series that was 3D TV show that was 3D good. Animation. That was awesome. Yeah, and that was a great character arc with the ship becoming, Io becoming a Green Lantern, and just really well done.
Even Razor, who was really annoying at first, But Kilowog's great on it.
Yeah,
I love
Kilowog's great.
Kilowog.
Yeah.
I love Kilowog.
Well, you know why LT likes Green Lantern Corps so much, right?
Why?
Because if Canada was the universe, the Green Lanterns would be the Mounties. They
Right?
really would, right? I mean, that would be
yeah.
that would be the proper analogy.
He would,
They would be.
Well, LT would be my choice for Green Lantern of Sector 2814.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
love you, man.
You're the man, you were worthy. The ring would go to you, dude, but you weren't in that universe, so you're in this one. So.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Well, the ring might find you someday. You never know.
It might. You never know. I'll be old and decrepit, but you never know. I will say this though. It's funny that we talk about the Justice League cartoon because I'd have to say. So, in all-time superhero comic book themed animated shows, that's got to be, number 3, I think, because I would say Batman the Animated Series is the greatest of all time.
Agreed.
I love the X-Men show from the 90s. Yeah, yep. It just, I have a soft spot for that. As a huge Logan Wolverine a fanatic. He's my favorite Marvel.
Did you get any
of the stuff wrong though?
Yeah, they do.
But did you get anything action figures from the show that are coming out with now? You got the Wolverine line in bed, and
yep. I have the Sideshow collectibles Wolverine in the brown costume. I have a soft spot for the brown, even though I have Hulk issue number 180 in its CGC'd and slabbed.
Oh,
so, I have that. Wow. It's right up by my statue. It's there, and
because that went way up in value lately, but for many years that wasn't as high in value.
They're asking like $4,000 for a good one now.
Yeah, $4,000. I have that issue somewhere. I'm trying to find it in one of my boxes. I'm pretty sure I have it.
There's a lot of discussion about 180 and 181. Right?
181.
Yeah, 181's the cover issue and the full appearance, but 180 is really
his first appearance. Yeah, it's the last page. So I always tell the story. So we bought a comic book collection from a guy in the neighborhood who was 16 and we were 12, and we were going around in order. So he had his comics in order. We were 4 of us. We all chipped in like $20, I think, and so I ended up with Wolverine 180 Hulk 180. And then I can't find it in my collection. I don't know where it is because I'd like to take it out and really, get it rebagged. And I think I have it in who knows, out of all my long boxes, which box, could end up in a random box. And so one of my friends, I think, had 181, and I think it got thrown out by his mom along with this whole collection.
Oh my God.
So because we're joking, we're going around in order, and we're just, you couldn't, we said we're just going to go in order, eeny, meeny, miny, just, you get the next next book. So they got all split up. You couldn't pick because then people would have gotten mad. So I'm like, oh my God, that 181, and that 180 is worth a ton of money. My copy is not a good copy, but if I can find it, where is it?
Well, that's like my giant size X-Men number 1. So I have off the shelf bought giant size X-Men number 1, and I have read it so many times, and it's been in so many. It's 5. I'm lucky. I don't even dare send it into CGC to get it slabbed because I know it's going to come back like maybe a 4 or a 5 because it's loved, right? And that's what comic books should be. They should be loved. You should read them over and over again. And would I love it to be a 9.8 for like $150,000? Absolutely. But and that's a whole discussion about comic books and about slabbing them and the value of them. To me, the value will never come back to me, except for the investment I had in reading them growing up and reading them over and over again. To be honest, all these comics that are worth a lot of money that are in my long boxes downstairs, I'm never going to get that return because there's no way in heck that I am ever going to sell them because they mean so much to me.
Yeah.
LT, what you do is you save those and you keep them real nice. And then when you're gone and you've slipped off this plane to the next one, then everybody that you've left behind can all get together around your collection and go, hey, if we sell all this, gang, we can go to Aruba this summer for free. And they're like, yeah.
Do you know what? It's funny you should say that because when we're talking about the Amazon Lord of the Rings show, all I can think about is J.R.R. Tolkien and his son and his grandson. And what now? They're all gone now. And now it's that family that all they're seeing is dollar signs, right? And that's kind of the way I look at it too. I'm not into my comic collection for making money. And I'm pretty sure that my kids could care less, or the nieces and nephews and the family, and they're not going to care, right? It's all about enjoying it now. And that's what I would say to the people listening to us right now. Enjoy what you have now, because the kids in the next generation, they're not going to care.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, LT, that's one of the greatest things about 24/7 is 24/7 inherited a lot of his older comics from his great uncle. It wasn't from his dad. It wasn't from his grandpa. It was from his great uncle. And boy, if his great uncle, I hope his great uncle, wow. I hope his great uncle could see wherever he is that a cat who really digs it got it. You know, like that guy is a great caretaker for those books.
I wish I had a great uncle like that.
Yeah,
that would leave me some golden and silver age comics. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's what I loved about his show on the Friday nights. When we would talk, we'd look at all the Shazam stuff, the Captain Marvel stuff,
it's nice stuff.
And he would flop those down, and I'd be like, dude. Did
you ever?
My collection looks so bad.
Well, I can tell you this: once he gets to 1,000, my friend, I think you're going to like his new show. It's going to be at a better, less competitive time, and it's going to be much, much, much more focused on comics, especially DC stuff. So that's what we've been talking about. I think y'all will like it.
Yeah, I love the DC stuff. That's my favorite, the DC stuff.
He's definitely he's very knowledgeable, but he's definitely like DC's another level with him. I mean, really.
Shout out to 24/7.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well,
subscribe. Be number 900. He's real quick.
He's still the second luckiest comic collector I know. By the way, LT, did you go after that Adventure 419?
Yeah, I actually sent an email. Well, besides there's a couple on eBay, and Canadian sellers too that with some high level good quality ones. But I sent out a message to my comic book guy, my comic shop. He's got a connection, and I said, you know what? There's a handful of adventure comics that I still need, and this is one of the ones that I'm looking for. And he said, let me get on that. I'll get back to you. And that is what I love about the old school classic comic book shops. That's what we're losing today with what
that's disappearing now.
Oh, they're all disappearing. But you know what? I just sent off an email.
A lot of Funko Pops, though.
Yeah, Funko Pops. No, don't get me started. But I sent him an email, and he said, I'll get on it. And that's what I love about the old school comic book shops that we're missing, that we're going to lose here in the next 10 years, probably. He said that I'll take care of you, because he's been taking care of me for a long time. And I just think that if you find a guy who's willing to do that, he has connections, he knows guys in the industry, and they're going to look for it. That's that 419, because I'm a huge
nice cover. That's a great
Enchantress. Cover. I love that. But
that was on my spinner rack today.
Yeah, that was on so I saw that from Klobby's spinner rack today, and I went, oh, wait, I don't recognize that cover. I don't think I have that issue. And I have probably, adventure comics from probably 250 to, into the 400s, deep into the 400s. I have a lot of them, but there's about 50 or 60 I don't have. And I saw that cover, and I went, I don't think I have that one. But I love the Enchantress, the classic / Wonder Woman villain / whatever. And I have her first appearance, a 9.2 CGC slabbed. And I love, she's the one with the green and black outfit with the green hat. The one that they really did a disservice to in the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right?
She was played by that supermodel from, what was her name?
Cara Delevingne, but
Yeah.
Well,
which was awful. But anyway, I saw it the lower right here, and I said, how do I not have that issue? Because I don't recognize that cover. And Klobby, first thing he said in the channel was, I know you're going to go after that. And I went, hey, I'm already on it. I already started going to eBay and my connections.
Glad to enable you.
Yeah.
Mark's usually the enabler, but now
I'd love to enable, right? Yep.
Yeah, you talk about 24/7's luck. I mean, that, and you hear stories like that all the time with Lux, with collections. But nothing will ever top the Edgar Church story. I mean, you all know about that, of course. Edgar
Absolutely.
Church. Anybody ring it?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, what was he the one that went to someone's house for a yard sale and found comic? I'm trying to.
No, that was the collection that Chuck Rosansky of Mile High Comics stumbled onto in 1978.
There's a great documentary on YouTube about that. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. It's pretty. It's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, he just like this. Basically, this mobster's kid's like, "Hey, do you want to go buy these comics out of my dad's warehouse?"
He wasn't a mobster. No, he wasn't a mobster.
From Denver, I think, right?
He was
Wasn't that the Pedigree? That's the Pedigree comic book, right? Collection.
He worked. It's the biggest comic collection ever found like that.
Yeah.
From the in the 30s into the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, because wasn't he supposed to be throwing out the books or returning them, and he wasn't.
He threw out. He worked for the ad department of a telephone company in Colorado, illustrating commercial telephone book advertisements, things like that. And he would buy every single. He would go to his newsstands and since like the 20s, and have them put. They reserved all periodicals for him when comic books started coming out in the 30s. He had those too, and he collected them all, but he kept them in perfect shape. And they didn't have bags and boards and that kind of crap. But of course, up there at least you don't. It's not like down here where they would be eaten alive by humidity and stuff like that. It's way up there in Colorado. But he kept this guy in the family, the heirs after he passed, like in the late 70s, 77, 78, something like that, whatever it was. He was like almost. It was in his 90s or something, I think. Anyway, they found. Action 1. They found a Red Raven 1. That's an unbelievably rare comic. They found, and that was deeper into the. In other words, they were just said we will pay you. They tried a couple of different comic shops and none of them would do it. They went to Chuck Rosansky before he had Mile High or after he just started. Anyway, that's what the Mile High collection comes from. And he went there to the house. And he started finding all this stuff. He's like, oh, my God. Yeah. He had to start making offers for it. They didn't know what they had, but everybody else turned them down. They refused. They said, if you bring them to us, we'll buy it. But they didn't. They wanted someone to go in there and take them out. And nobody would do it but him. And he spent weeks doing it. He ended up having to get some help with some money from friends, helping them, all this other kind of stuff. And he found out a lot of other art clippings and things like that the guy in there, they were throwing that out into the trash, some of the guy's art clippings and stuff that he had been collecting for his work. But the comics, he didn't cut those up. He cut up magazines. He didn't cut the comics up or anything.
I'd kill for a Red Raven #1. I would kill for a Red Raven #1. Oh, 1940.
Oh. Yep. It's amazing. It's just true. And the collection extends somewhere into the 50s or 60s, I think. So he had all the Dell Westerns, all the EC comics. I don't know if he had much, and he may have some Silver Age stuff in there too. But the deeper he went into the guy's place, like he found this closet full of stuff.
Yeah, so 16,000 books dating from 37 to 55.
Right.
Wow.
Including the first Superman and the first Marvel comic.
Yeah. That's a dream, right?
Yeah.
Chuck Rosansky, whom I'm not gonna say anything online about some of the things you hear about him, but Mile High Comics, I remember he was making money just before he really had a shop. He was, putting ads in comics. You see these back issue comics before he bought that collection even. And later, of course, now he has I've always wanted to go to Mile High Comics. Here's the guy. It's just fun to go in there and look at all the unbelievable amount of comics. But this is what did it. This is what helped him put him over the top with a shop, get a shop with the most famous shop, one of the most famous shops in the world.
Everyone knows Mile High Comics. Yep.
And
so he that's interesting. Yeah, they had the best known copy of Action Comics #1, believed to be 9.4, 9.6, but it's not graded. But he was born in Connecticut. No, Plainville. Yep.
Wow. And he was born.
Amazing.
According
the
to
one collection I was reading about, or someone was supposed to be, when you didn't sell the comics, you're supposed to rip the cover off.
Yes, you were. That's what the stores did when they had returnable comics.
Yeah, so I'm trying to remember the name of the collection. Someone was doing that and not, keeping all the comics, and they weren't supposed to. Or
there's I'm sure a few people did that back then. Yeah, them because they liked comics, or they thought they would have saved them. They didn't know whether they were going to be worth a damn a lot of times. They just kept them because they didn't want to tear them up.
Yeah, we used to do that when I worked at a bookstore. You were supposed to do that with mass market paperbacks too.
Right. You weren't going to get it returned. Yeah, you weren't going to get your return unless you ripped off the cover of the button.
And you sent it back in a big bundle, like with a rubber band around it. But we used to give them away, keep them in a box in the back, and read them at lunchtime and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, like, because I got this really cool CD collection of, well, it's just Star Wars, the Star Wars CDs, but like a friend was working at a company, they had to like punch through the cover or something, but the CDs are perfect. So it's, all the soundtracks from Star Wars in this box set, but, there's like a punch in the cover, but who cares, got it for free. I guess that was supposed to be, then they couldn't sell it or whatever because no one bought it. But yeah, there's some cool stuff you can get that way. But yeah, and you're reading the book, right? It doesn't have a cover, but you got the rest of the book. So
I wonder if he still has that Red Raven #1. I would.
That's amazing. Yeah, and of course the comics have really just taken off. The values have just gone ballistic the last few years. I mean, it's just crazy. I could have a program that I have every issue of my collection in a software program, and it's gone up like 15 to 20%. And it's just totally bonkers.
I can't even imagine the heart attack I would have walking in there. But he did.
Oh,
he
yeah.
Didn't know this. He didn't know he was going to find all this stuff. And in the shape it was in, too.
And perfect shape, right? I mean, gorgeous.
He had no idea.
Gorgeous shape, yeah. Red Raven #1. Wow, 1940. That's really cool. Yeah, so all these books, they got thrown. Well, they're worth a lot of money because they got thrown out, right? So they got tossed. No one thought they'd be worth.
They were going to throw them in the garbage too, but they couldn't get anybody to do all that work.
It was too much work to throw away. Thank God, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's hard to find 9.0 pluses from the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah,
let alone the 30s and 40s, right? And to find anything in the 8s from that decade is just amazing. So yeah, it's and a lot of those comics too. I look back at them; there's some really, really amazing stuff. And wow,
if that had been Louisiana, I don't care how nice they treated them, they would be deteriorated beyond. I mean,
with the humidity,
there would be nothing left.
Water damage and termite eating.
Not a chance.
One of the reasons that you don't see a lot of comics around from like the late 30s to at least well into 48, 49, is because anything that was unpurchased, they sent overseas to the GIs. They sent them to the American forces, the Canadians, the Allies, and in some cases, they'd actually use it as packing material, right? They put a layer of comic books down, then they'd stack stuff on top of it, and they put more comics on top. And that way the comics
they recycled them too, right? For all the war drives.
They would get them. Yeah. No, I think they might have, Mark, but they sent a lot of them overseas. Yeah, because those guys were clamoring for stuff to read. So you get a box, and they would, the guys would take the comics out the box and give them out to each other. And of course, there's a famous MASH episode, right, where they start tearing the book and the chapters and passing it around, and who has chapter stuff. And it was kind of like that. They would be like, oh, okay, who has this comic because I gave it to so-and-so, but I want to read it, and I'll give them this comic for it, and they would all trade it, and, they get swapped around on a ship and everything. It's kind of interesting when you look at it. It almost is a documentary just on that,
The answer, Steve, is, well, number one, it was easier just, first of all, they didn't want them reselling it after they figured, if we're giving you money back for it, why should you profit? And basically, you tear off the covers, and you don't have to ship as heavy up. You have something a lot lighter to ship just a bunch of covers rather than the comics shipping them back. That's why you would, if you ever were a kid back in the 70s and you went to the barber shop, you saw a bunch of coverless comics. Or a lot of places they would just give, they would. And my when I was in the 70s and 80s, I had all these uncles and my dad. They would say stuff like, when they see price of a comic book for 25 cents or whatever, or 35 cents, they go, "Wow, when I was a kid, it was a nickel," and they used to drive me nuts with that. So I wanted revenge. I wasn't going to take it laying down. So I was going to say, look. There never were a nickel. There were only 3 different comics ever that were cover priced a nickel. One of them was called Nickel Comics. The other one was Fawcett Bullet Man Comics. They were always a dime or up.
A dime, right? Or up,
and then they said, "No." And then I did a lot of deduction. I figured out that yes, there were comics for a nickel. What it was these were drugstores ripping the covers off, and they would either put them in stacks and sell them for a nickel there, or they would give them to some way, and someone would sell these things for a nickel, and they used to trade them all. My dad said they used to trade
no
comics.
Cover, right? Yeah.
They didn't have covers. They didn't know what a cover. They were just kids wanting to read a comic. And I think they did it a lot. They said they tore it off and they sold coverless comics for a nickel instead of 10 cents.
Oh, Matthew, I think you got timed out by accident. Friendly fire to say so.
Matthew Pounder.
Yep. So sorry about that,
Sorry,
Matthew.
dude, really?
I think someone slipped on the keyboard. So yeah, you're not timed to-
Steve, man, Steve, come on, man.
Don't blame Steve.
I think it was Friendly Fire Matt. So hail to Matt, and
I
he'll be
never
back.
seen
Yeah, sorry about that. Friendly Fire, man down, man down. And yeah, so that was an accident. So sorry, Matthew. And D-Bud, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, had a customer bring in a copy of Action Comics number 5. Only something like 40 copies known to exist. He was just showing that in some other low-grade golden age books he had collected. Wow, that's amazing. What kind of shape was it in, D-Bud? I wonder. Well, it doesn't even matter that much. I'm sure it was. I don't even know what that's what that would have been worth back then, but that's really cool. Yeah, see something like that.
It wasn't you, Steve. It was Thoth. He's just trying to put it on you.
Hey, yeah, that's right. I just like timing out everyone. I like
to frame
Everyone
up.
gets a timeout. Yep.
As soon as Russian bots see that I'm in the chat, they run away screaming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. Let me tell you, Golden Age. So I have only a handful of Golden Age comics that I have that I treasure downstairs in my collection, but every time I see one, I love it, and I love taking them out of the bag. So I have the Golden Age bags. You take the tape off gently, and you kind of open it up, and you just
smell it,
and just the smell. And I know that means that they're decaying and they're getting worse and worse. And then I tape it back up again. But the smell is it's literally unique. It is, and there's nothing like the Golden Age smell of the ink on the paper and just and when you open it up and you crack it open and you look at them too, the pages, they just leap out at you. So the art is amazing, the smells are incredible, the story is fun, and so much so, it's from the 40s and 50s, and it's so unique. Just there's nothing like it ever.
Wow. Do you ever make like an evening of it, LT, and like eat an open-faced turkey sandwich while you're doing that?
Open-faced turkey. Well, I open up a nice Italian Valpolicella, and take a full glass and just inhale the aromas from the wine and the open-faced turkey sandwich. Make sure I put a little bit of Kraft cheddar cheese on the top and melt it, and then I have some chips on the side too, and all the salt and the grease from my fingers as I'm flipping to the page. No, I don't do an open turkey face sandwich. What are you talking about?
He's careful with this comment.
But no, it's an experience. It's an experience opening up a Golden Age comic, especially for the first time. It's a lot of fun.
So Captain Marty Spock, Clobberin Times wouldn't mind that so much, I guess, because he hates the black costume.
Yeah, hates the black costume. No,
so if you got a big coffee ring on the cover, that just adds character to it.
I like Captain Marty Spock even more that I know that he's done this. Way to go, buddy. But I do actually
respect.
We actually someone brought like a Superman #2 at our shop back in the 80s at one point. But I do own one Golden Age comic still to this day.
What's
back
that?
around 1982 or 3, I bought a copy of Green Lantern #20, I think it was. It was really in horrible shape, and that got like $20 or $30 at that time. And I knew it was in horrible shape, but I wanted to have a copy of it. So
just have a copy
maybe 20,
of something.
30, whatever it was. Now I can't remember. Still have it. And of course, it's in absolutely terrible shape, but it's all wrapped up.
But you can say you own it.
And I got a Golden Age comic, yeah.
But
I've looked at a lot of people's collections for the Golden Age back then, and stuff like that. And I've got to definitely handle and look in a few and grade a few and stuff like that, Golden Age comics. But other than that, I've never owned another one other than that one. I never will.
Even as much as you collected, they were just too rare. And then
I was never much. You know what? I was a dealer and a reader, and when it comes to collecting, not so much. I've always, I always all my friends were. I was always getting stuff for other people or selling other stuff, except my beloved FF collection. And since I ended up having to sell that tragically in the 90s, I've lost the right to be a collector and never, ever, I'm going to be worthy to be one again because I hate myself so much for that. It's just the worst thing I've ever done. I should have just, Anyway.
Well, yeah, it's water under the bridge. Yeah, it's tough.
I had
That's
a number
tough
one,
one.
dude. I had an FF number one in horrible shape, but I had it.
But you had
And-
it, yeah. You can
And I
see
only
all
had
of it,
about
yeah.
like 40 or something gaps between 1 and 250. And I
You almost had
remember
the whole
getting rid
run,
of
right?
everything after 250 because I hated what Byrne was doing with FF. And I said, I'm just going to have one, all the annuals, and
Up to 250.
And I don't want anything else ever again. This is the 90s. And I'm going to fill it up between that. And I had every annual.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah. Katrina did that to me. I was an avid collector of a few things, but after that I was just
Hungry
like, nothing's permanent. So I would collect something, get it all together, and then I would either give it to somebody, like maybe one of my nephews, or sell it and buy something else. That's exactly what I did when I got the very last Miles O'Brien and dress uniform. I finally completed my whole DS9 Playmates. And I was so excited, and I looked at it, and I took some pictures, and then I turned around and sold the whole thing on eBay.
Got every Playmates.
For a bit.
Oh man.
For DS9.
Wow.
For DS9.
Oh, for DS9,
Hungry
DS9.
boy.
Okay, I was gonna say, wow, there's a ton of Star Trek Playmates.
Right.
Yeah.
And Hail to the Great Hungry Boy. Yep. Well, we were showing Starships last night on Saturday Night Star
Saw
Trek.
that. I'm sorry I missed that, guys.
That's cool.
My wife scheduled
Date night?
No. Actually, so my wife has literally dozens of cousins all around the world. She has a big family, and we're talking everywhere from Spain, the Philippines, Hawaii, anywhere, all over the place. And what they do is they try to get together every year or 2 years, and it's been like 3 or 4 since they've done this before. And they get together and they do like a Zoom call where they all have trivia night, and so it's like 5, 6, 7 hours of just cousin stuff.
Cool.
And that happened to be last night, and of course I got informed.
So you won the comic book
on
trivia
Saturday.
contest.
Yeah, that's right. Saturday afternoon, I'm like, oh, by the way, tonight is that. I'm like, oh wait, but I have Saturday Night Star Trek. And she gave me the look, and I went,
The eye roll.
I'll be there for the trivia night. So I apologize I wasn't there last night, guys, because I would have loved to be a part of that. But I did watch it today, and I saw all the Star Trek ships and stuff. I'm a Enterprise E guy, so I know my vote is a little bit late to be cast.
So you vote E.
You vote E,
I vote
right?
the E.
Me too. D won though, right?
D1, yeah.
But what I was shocked by, I picked D, but I was shocked by Refit beating. And I picked Refit out of the original, but I thought the original was going to win.
Do you mean Enterprise, the
Constitution class?
Constitution class.
So TMP version of the Enterprise.
Right, Refit. Yes.
Yeah. Refit,
yeah. You know,
I love it. I think it's the most
that
perfect ship ever.
I love that refit.
I think it's the most perfect ship
gorgeous,
ever. But I really thought original would beat it, and it was leading for a long time.
Yeah, and then I don't know, maybe it was we can't even say those words now, right? Even if we're done with the Star Trek poll, we can't. I want to say it, right? Some shenanigans are going on. Yeah,
I'm actually sitting here going, it's really hard to beat classic Enterprise 60s version, like the original Connie, because that changed my life as a young man in the 70s.
Yep.
But I love that TMP Connie. I love the square, the perpendicular,
photon torpedo. Yeah.
And the 4.5 hours we get where Scotty takes the captain for the admiral.
I love every hour of it.
Yeah, that's awesome,
it's just when he goes up and the music is playing and he does that tour of the new Enterprise, and I know that true Trekkies / Trekkers
picture,
will sit there and just orgasm over that 4.5 hours. I like to say 4.5 hours.
4.5 minutes,
because it's a long time. But
yeah,
I also like the blue deflector dish from. Oh, look at that!
Yeah.
Of course, and then of course Mark brings it right up. Yep. I do like the blue deflector dish too of Star Trek. As much as I hate Star Trek 5. I do like that they changed a lot of things and they made it a little bit more colorful. But yeah, TMP Enterprise is the best.
Agreed. And I still love the other one, but there's something that's so sleek This is my favorite ship of all ships in all of science fiction. Is
Number one.
Is that one for me? Yeah,
with a bullet.
Gorgeous.
Yep. Yeah, but because it evokes the original too. It's a you can see the evolution. It's not like hey, let's disregard everything and and of course I think what's awesome about it too is you've got the sweeping lines of the pylons coming out too, coming back with the triangular shape there, so it draws your eye just goes right through that chip versus the straight up pylons coming. Let's show versus the original. So it's a subtle but better change opposed to the new one where they tried to bend it or whatever. Yeah.
Like Captain Marty Spock, that's a great. I love Warrior. Great magazine. I had a bunch of those. That's cool. 1 through 25. For what those don't know, Warrior magazine is a British mag from the from late 70s, early 80s, from Quality Publications, and that's where Marvel Man first appeared, who later became Miracle Man. V for Vendetta first appeared in there. Alan Moore got a lot of his first stuff in there.
And 2000 AD too, by the way.
I love 2000 AD, yeah.
I love 2000 AD. I've got a handful of them downstairs, and I wish I could have gotten more in the 80s, especially in the 90s too. And, Judge Dredd, all of the stories from 2000 AD were just unbelievable. I love them.
Oh, yeah. Love them.
But I could never get them. I would talk to my comic book shop, and it was just impossible to get them.
Dude, I had a ton of them. I found a ton of them back in the 80s, early 80s. This guy who'd been getting them from overseas because it was weekly. It was a week, and it was
wow.
It was on newsprint, like the newspaper, like a very gritty type of form paper, and it was a larger size. And I bought them from a guy. I had a stack. I mean, I think I forgot which Hurricane ate it, but yeah, I had a huge bunch of those, and a buddy of mine that used to get them and order them. And so I've been a Judge Dredd fan since like 1982 when I first got the first Titan album. Well, my Titan album, the boss of the shop then I was working for, that I was running the shop for, he wanted me to read some of these. He ordered a bunch of those Titan albums with the 2000 AD reprints. And I was like, I want to read superhero stuff. I don't want to read that crap. I want you to take it on and read so you can tell people that. Nah, I didn't want to do it. I was 18, 17, 18. So I reluctantly took a Judge's Caligula trade paper back home, a black and white Titan album that a there were two, 1 and 2 that complicated that compiled that long story, and fell in love with it. That was one of the many things that made me read a lot of independent comics rather than just sticking with the big two and stuff. Because even though I love superheroes, I wanted some other types of comics, and I didn't even know it until I read Cerebus and Judge Dredd and some other ones.
But the Judge Dredd stuff. So what really sucked me in the 80s too was Judge Death. I remember reading this story, and I got and you know what PO'd me a lot was I got like I can't remember, it was like the 3rd or 4th issue in the story. And I was like, oh, I want this because I love this idea of this character from an alternate universe being the good guy, but yet the bad guy, right? And
it was satire,
yeah, it was satire, and I couldn't get it. And it was no matter what I did because it was a British comic. It was 2000 AD, and this story that was going on. And I think I got it was years, almost decades later before I could get the whole storyline and the compendium, the Judge Dredd books that you could get all the issues in.
The Titan albums, yeah.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. And man,
I still have tons of those. I love those things.
The great stuff out of the 70s and 80s, man. You go back now, and I kind of shadow a lot of auctions and go in, and every once in a while I'll pick up some stuff. Besides, shipping is just exorbitant prices nowadays.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
And but I look and there's a lot of stuff that I go back to try to kind of cherry pick the stuff that I really want to grab. But yeah, the prices are just ridiculous now for shipping. You're buying a $20 or $30 comic and you're paying $15 or $20 shipping. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't have media mail up there, LT.
Yeah. But a lot of the best auctions are not from Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's going across the border doesn't help, right? Yep.
That's right. Yeah, and you have the exchange. There are some auctions up here, but they're not very good. A lot of the great auctions that are going on right now. But another thing too is, you would think that the comic book industry and the classic magazine industry would be in decline, but The prices are just going up. I can't believe it. I think it's because all of the people who are 40 plus are all have disposable income now, so they can bid prices to
on that
that are
nostalgic
to the
stuff.
extreme. Yeah.
I love this comic by Captain Marty Spock. I'm trying to find art of intense discussions without big arguments. Yeah. That's what we all strive for, right? Yep. Yep. We never have any fights, right? Yep.
No, I think
Yep.
we're all pretty much in agreement here. That's
Yeah. No, we're
good.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yep. And I love these cutaways here. How they, and this is why this works too. We got some artists in our chat tonight, but I think that's why this refit works, because it's just a slight change, and it's and of course too, I think when the motion picture came out too, people kind of make fun of that scene, but they got to realize how cool it was to see that Enterprise on the big screen for the first time, and special effects were a big deal back then too. I mean, you had 2001 phenomenal effects, in Star Wars, and then Star Trek, I think, is up there. I'm trying to think of any movies in between that really did. Forbidden Planet's great, but it's not. The special effects aren't that level. I'm trying to think of another space movie that had. Can you guys? I don't think there is one.
Forbidden Planet had some great effects, but yeah, what were you saying? As far as
just
like, motion picture
because
level?
just because of being on
effects, gotcha.
Yeah, but just because you're, people make fun of that scene today, but I don't think they realize that the intent was to be, you're in the movie theater and you're gawking at it, and it's Starship Prawn, and the whole idea was to show off, how gorgeous the ship was, and you could really see the Enterprise for the first time, because, today everyone's got these big screen TVs,
Right.
I was watching Star Trek on a 13-inch TV, and you'd kind of imagine the Enterprise and how big it would look or how cool it would look, but you never got to see it until that motion picture. So it's kind of out, there's a context to that scene where I think gets lost, that the youngins maybe don't appreciate it. I can see where maybe be a little out of place today, but
that music,
God, it's so gorgeous. The
Sometimes
music
I just listen to. I ride around just listening. If I'm out riding around, especially when I was working out on the road a lot, I would just listen to that. It's like 5-6 minutes. That scene goes on. It's only like about 5 something. I say only, but to me, I love it. I could watch it 100 times. But just even if I'm not watching, if I'm listening to that music, because I've seen that scene so many times, it actually just brings that picture in my head when I'm listening to it. That Jerry Goldsmith score is fantastic, and I think the very best part of that, his whole score for that film, is that scene. That it's called The Enterprise, I believe. It's even cut in the soundtrack, if I remember right. And it's amazing.
And we're getting the 4K director's cut version on Paramount Plus. Then I guess it'll be available. Hopefully, it better be available for purchase on 4K Blu-ray. But I'm really looking forward to watching that again. So when's that coming? Is that in 3 days? When's that coming out?
I thought you said something like December or something, but maybe I thought it was you.
No, I think it's coming out next.
No,
week,
I'm talking about the Blu-ray or something. Yeah, you talking about
the Blu-ray.
In a couple of weeks, They gave her back to me, Scotty. Gave her back, sir. I doubt it was that easy with Nagura.
I love that scene.
Any man who can manage such a feat, I wouldn't dare to disappoint. She'll launch on time, sir, and she'll be ready. I love that movie. God, I love that scene. Kills me every time, dude. I mean, look, it's just, I love this movie. I don't care who knows it, and people who hate it, I don't know what's wrong with it.
That 4K, oh man, that 4K.
Oh, it's gonna be
you know what, though? I will say this: that scene you just quoted, two of the greatest Canadian actors of all time.
Oh, well, God, no argument for me, man. You know me, dude. I love my Canadian brothers.
William Shatner and Jimmy Doohan.
You've given us the greatest captain, you Canadians. And not only have you've given us other great Canadian captains like Sheridan and Reynolds.
True.
And Canuck. So we love you. So,
wow, look at this. They're gonna have they found the 65 millimeter film, and that's the funny. The fun thing I always mention too. People don't realize.
I love that station.
That's cool. That film is high res. It's better than 4K. It's everyone thinks So what's happening is they're scanning in the film as high as they can. So originally so I guess this is what you had before on the film. You'd see it kind of blurry now. So, the film, the quality is there. It's just what it's presented to us at home. So, you go to a movie theater, it's really, really high quality. It's not, Of course, if you have a projectionist that screws up, or
I'm just
but
kidding. People do it. People call it that all the time, Matthew, and we forgive you.
The motionless picture.
People always call it that, and it's funny. It's a funny joke, but I mean, because it is a movie that doesn't move fast. But I love the movie. I understand that. Yeah, you can poke a little fun at it. You can take it.
No, that's a valid criticism, I think. Of the movie, but for me, it was just such an event. No, it was just such an event. Yep.
Wrath of Khan is a head fake action packed movie because it's not action packed either.
That's very true when you really analyze the movie.
You really look at it.
It's a submarine movie. I love the old classic 60s submarine movies, right? That it's such a great movie like that.
The tempo of it makes you think it's action packed and exciting. And it is. It is a very exciting movie, but it's not, action packed by any stretch of the imagination. There are episodes of original Trek that are far more action packed with a good, good Kirk fight here and there, or whatever.
Yep.
So I think that Star Trek: The Motion Picture was probably the greatest Star Trek movie of all time because that was Trek, and then the Wrath of Khan was the greatest normie Star Trek movie of all time because it had like you said a tempo, a pace, but it had a great story. It had a villain in air quotes, right? Because I don't think Khan is a true villain. I think he's more an antagonist. Like what happened to him and his people made him go off the deep end, and the loyalty that his people showed him made them follow him. I think there's a deeper story within the story there.
He was pretty villainous in the 20th century, though.
Well, was he though? That's a long conversation to have.
They said he was, but
I think he. Well, we don't know really. To be honest, we don't know. We just know what Space Seed gave us in the history tapes.
Right. True.
And the victors determine what the history books say. So we don't know what kind of a man he was in the 21st century back in those days, right? In the Star Trek universe. So, it's an incredible journey. I think that character had an incredible journey that ended in an implosion and an explosion, but it made Kirk's journey even more incredible. And that's what an antagonist does. A great story villain, in air quotes, like I said, makes the hero work for
even
it.
Better.
Because Khan doesn't think he's a villain, right? Khan thinks he's there to bring peace, and
Dr. Doom doesn't think he is either.
The best villains are like that, right? Yeah. They're not slashers or.
But then again, the Joker knows he is, and he loves it.
Well,
so it just depends on
But I liked your comparison with Khan and Doom because I think they're very, very, very much alike. Because Doom has his people, he has his family, he has his his country. And I think Khan felt the same thing with his people and with what he lost in the 21st century and what he turned his back on. And then he was given a planet to conquer. And then look what happened. An accident of the universe caused him to lose it all. And so, that's a great analogy between Doom and Khan.
Yep.
We were talking about that last night a little bit, how Star Trek really doesn't have villains per se.
But they've all tried.
But
I think that's been
recurring.
Yeah, I think that was a detriment to the later movies and later series because they're all chasing Khan basically.
Yeah,
they're all looking for that big bad that could be,
Goldie Cut, bad guy.
I
said Goldie Cut was a pretty bad guy.
No, I don't think
he was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God, he was an evil.
I think he was a great guy. He was a paladin.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Well, anyway, just look how gorgeous this looks too. Just this scene here where you go from the blurry to that. It's gonna be so good because I like watching the director's
cut. My TV
cut.
won't be able to tell the difference.
Yes, you have a 4K TV, Clobbering Times.
Thanks, too old.
No, you got 4K.
And remember, I told you it's broken.
Well, I can't help you with that, but it is according to the stats, it's 4K. Maybe the colors don't look good, or the.
When the screen's dark, you can see through it sometimes.
Yeah.
Anytime I get a chance to see the Enterprise in 4K, I'm right there.
Yeah, so this is gonna be gorgeous. So because Wrath of Khan was the only other one that's in 4K.
Yeah.
And when I watched the director's cut, it's like, I'm a snob now. It's just so blurry. I mean, I love the movie, but because all these digital effects that were added after, because this scene's not in the original movie, it was done at SD. Of course, back then it made sense when they were doing the movie. Why you're not going to spend the extra money, or the tech didn't even exist really. So
I
to
think
render
one thing,
like all these scenes on Vulcan.
You know what? By the way, I do need to backtrack a little bit. I think there is something that makes Khan a villain, and that makes Doom a villain. No matter how much they may think they're right, he still tried to murder Kirk, and Doom always tries to murder the Fantastic Four. They're villains.
Yeah.
Well, that's because to Khan, Kirk is the villain, and to Doom,
murder's
Reed Richards. Now, I distinguish between the Fantastic Four for Doom. I think Reed Richards is his villain. He doesn't want anything to happen to the rest of them, although he probably hates Benjamin Grimm.
Oh,
but
he
I
hates,
think
Ben now. But yeah, you're right. It's Reed.
Yeah. Reed is his arch nemesis and his ultimate antagonist, and I think that's what I love about a well-written villain / antagonist. If they are written well and written right, they're not the bad guy.
Khan went violent and murdered the people at Motara, the moon. I mean, the base. But go ahead.
Yeah. But why? Why did he do that?
Because he wanted information. He flat slaughtered them.
That's right. Because he's the superior. That he says that, right? We are the superior. That these peons, they need to give us the information so that our race can evolve and be the dominant race in the universe. What do human beings do on a daily basis?
Well,
we do the exact same thing, right?
Slaughtered people hanging upside down that were helpless. That doesn't make him a warrior. That makes him a
cowardly
murderer.
Yep.
Tortured people to death. So he's an evil murderer to me. But
he's not a good guy.
That's nothing. There's no honor in that. And there's nothing. You didn't have to do it. So that makes him an evil murderer to me.
So honor is a whole other discussion. That's actually, so this whole discussion is actually, we could talk about this for hours, because being what I do for a living and what I am and the way I was raised, I'm very much, my wife called me, you know what, you're such a nice guy. You're such a paladin. Why are you such a nice, It's because I always think of the best in people, right? I'm an optimist. I always look at the positive in everyone, and I try to be polite and I try to be positive, and I'm like, hey guys, hey, how's it going? Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? But that's the way I am, and I try to look at the best in everyone. But there are villains. I've sat across the table and interrogated literally mass murderers and serial killers. I have had discussions with them. I know that from experience. And what that is, it's just, you need to have a shower after you have a discussion with these people, because they don't see things the way normal people do. Like everybody here and everybody in the chat, they don't see things the same way we do. So that's what Khan was like. Khan, and he didn't care who he killed and what he did.
He had to get his revenge. Yep.
He had to get his revenge, and he had to protect his people, but he would sacrifice his own people in order to meet that end. So yeah.
Oh, here we go.
He tasks me. He tasks me, and I shall have him. I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up.
Greatness. One of the greatest scenes.
And shout out to Steve Mitchum. He said it's hard to type. So he with Maddie, that sounds cute. And Maddie's draped around his neck. But so you had the same problem that Scotty had. It sounds like. So when Steve Mitchum says impossible to type. So they're
computer. Hello, computer.
Just use the keyboard.
The keyboard. How quaint.
But Joaquin there, what I love about what you just showed there, Mark, was so Khan has obviously gone off the deep end.
Yep.
And Joaquin knows that. And he
Yep.
sits there, he's just like, we've got the Reliant, we've got the crew, we've got Genesis. Let's just go. But
we can do anything we want, right?
He tasks me. But the loyalty that's shown, that's a soldier's loyalty to his commander. And I love that. That's why Wrath of Khan is one of the best movies of all time.
Yes, great lines.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the greats, sir. One of the greats. Love it.
And here's another thing.
Go ahead, Pat. Yep.
I was going to say, here's another thing to take up for the motion picture is everybody makes fun of the uniforms in the motion picture, but everybody seems to forget in Star Trek 4 that Bones is walking around with a neckerchief the entire thing, and Sulu's wearing a cape, and nobody says anything about that. We just let that go.
He was very dashing. Yep.
Well, what's San Francisco?
That is true.
That's funny. Yep. But,
it's funny how we all come back to Star Trek too, because Star Trek's awesome.
Look at this shot of V'ger, though.
That's gonna be amazing. God.
Which you never see to the director's cut.
Yeah, so that's and they totally redid it too. So that's the 2001. Hey, Monkey Jeeves.
Yes, the director's cut.
There's a space eggplant, I think. But
so,
we were talking.
They got a much clearer picture of V'ger then.
Yep, there's new V'ger. Yep. Oh, there we go. We were talking. I actually watched an episode of Discovery today because I was enjoying UFOs so much. I thought I might, torture myself. And I mean, God, there's just not to dwell on it too much, but they tried to copy the Galileo 7, which was probably my number one episode of Star Trek. And Tilly's on the ship, and it's just the dialogue. And I think the actress is actually really good because when she played the Mirror Universe, she was actually able to play like a kick-ass, straight character, no nonsense. But if you're in the services, she's talking to these cadets like, "Oh, let's have a nice day." I was going to clip the scene and play it. It's just so cringeworthy just to show to you and Raquel. Well, maybe I'll show it to you. Might send Raquel over the deep end, but
I don't want her seeing that.
Yeah, just how offhand, how casual, and how if you're in any kind of military organization, you're not friends with the cadets. I mean, it's just so lackadaisical. But the one good thing about it was, I think, we got to have a debate who's worse, Tilly or Rafi. I think it's Tilly.
Rafi's the worst thing ever.
Tilly.
You haven't watched enough of Discovery. I think Tilly,
I've watched them all.
So all right, so LT's agreeing.
I've seen a little of Tilly, but I can't imagine anyone being worse than Rafi.
Oh, she's worse. If you saw this, have you seen that? You've seen that episode I'm talking about, right?
I have trouble believing that.
Just as a side note, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mark. There, I'm just going to say one thing. Every time, so at lunchtime, when I'm working from home, when I'm home and not at headquarters, I watch stuff at lunchtime, and I take a break, 45 minutes, and I watch TV. I've caught up to Discovery. I've watched them all. And I haven't watched the new Picard yet. I will say this: that's next on my list. After Raised by Wolves season 2, and so I did watch all of Discovery, and there are several cringe moments in every episode. Every time I come up from watching those episodes, my wife, who's also working from home, she looks at me and she goes, "Why do you still watch it?" I'm like, in case I need to talk about it on streams. And she laughs and she says, because I can see the blood vessels popping out of your skull. And she says, "I hear you downstairs yelling at the television screen and throwing stuff around." And so when you said that this is not a military organization, it is the worst awful representation of any kind of military organization ever. But Tilly is the worst character.
Wow.
Oh, Dadman said it now. He's got a big week in the land of the big bosses. So good luck with that, Dadman. Catch you soon. Yep. So
I find it tough to believe. If I didn't trust you two guys with my life, if necessary, I would really be calling you a couple of, I don't know, you guys be worse than Rafi.
You haven't seen enough.
I do trust you.
You haven't seen enough of Discovery.
That's why I'm conceding the point. To be worse than Rafi, though, I couldn't. Now that thanks for the warning, because if there's a character ever written worse than Rafi, If I watch him, I'm going to go more insane than she makes me, and I'm not going to be able to function. I'm just going to curl up and do a little ball somewhere and just find a corner to die in. There's a worse character than Raffi out there, so I can tell.
I've never as much as seen an episode of Discovery, but I have to tell you, I can't imagine a situation where you're off by yourself, even if it was a civilian ship, where you wouldn't have a clear, delineal line of command.
Yeah.
For anything, you have to have that. One, I don't know if you guys ever saw the show, if you remember, but there's a show in the 80s called Hill Street Blues. It was basically a police drama. And I'll never forget this because my dad was a sergeant in the Marine Corps at the time, and I used to watch shows with him sometimes, and I don't remember much. But I remember my dad chuckling and explaining to me, because I said, Dad, what does pull rank mean? Because somebody comes up, Phil Esterhaus was like the desk sergeant in that show, right? He passed away during the making of that show. And there was a character who came up to him and he was like, hey, Sarge, this, and this. And he goes, oh, Sarge, don't pull rank on me. And Esterhaus turns to him and he goes, I will pull rank on you. He says, that's why I have rank. It's because I've done this for 25 years and you have it. And that's why I'm telling you, you can't do this, because if you do this, you're going to get yourself or your partner or a civilian killed. That's why I'm pulling rank on you. And I asked my dad what that meant, and he explained to me, and he was like, that's a great answer. He goes, because sometimes when you're 17 and 18 years old, you don't understand why you have to listen to this guy who's 35 years old. But it's because he's experienced these things. It's because he understands. You don't just walk into the engine room of a starship and start flipping switches around and push the engineer out the way, because the engineer's trained on that. And that's what I don't get about this show. It's nonsensical. You couldn't do that. And like I said, if you were aboard a civilian ship with 8 crew members, there's still a first officer, there's still a captain, because there needs to be one. Somebody needs to make that decision, and somebody needs to step in when this guy's asleep or off the boat or anything else. It makes zero sense to me. Zero
if you saw that scene I was talking about in LT, you know exactly that scene where they're on the shuttlecraft about to crash. Where was that one you must have been throwing things at the screen and yelling. I'm like, what kind of BS is? I mean, it's like the worst fan fiction writing I've ever seen. And of course, then the one Orion kid, of course, his dad turns out to be, of course, a super duper, a political prisoner to,
sacrificed himself for the betterment of people. What was funny about that was she took 10 minutes to say, I'll be the one to sacrifice myself and run it. Like, it's just awful. So as a former major in the Air Force, and I will say this. So I remember the time when I actually was an LT, and I had a sergeant major who he had like 35 years in, and he's the 6'5", 235 pounds of solid muscle coming up to this poor young just out of the academy kid, right? And a ginger, by the way. So I had a couple of strikes against me. And I look up at him and he looks down at me and he goes, sir, what are we going to do, sir? And I'm like, what do you think we should do, Sergeant Major? And that made me a good officer, because I just let the boys who had the experience make the decisions. And I just went, okay, that's what we're going to do. And so when I see this kind of stuff where this cadet, she's still a cadet, she's got no experience, going on to this situation where she's on this planet and she's got no experience in dealing with this kind of a situation, and she tries to figure it out. I'm surprised they didn't all die.
Yeah. So the setup for this, because this is actually worth talking about, I think. So, they're going off on a cadet training mission, and Tilly's in charge. I think she's just been she made lieutenant, right? On the show.
Yep.
She was an ensign. Ensign so it took her 1,000 years to make lieutenant. So joke. So
literally 1,000 years,
yeah. So
that's longer than Harry Kemp. Good Lord.
Yeah. So they're going down, on this mission, and some natural phenomenon, hits and zaps the shuttlecraft Galileo, right? And so it's they're going down, and of course before this, that seemed like Tilly's, why don't we open up to each other and tell us how we got into Starfleet and let's open our souls and all this stuff. It's like you're on a freaking training mission with a crew.
And it's true.
I got a clip.
It's true. That's
it was
what
like
happened.
They're camping with like the Boy Scouts, and I'm a scout leader. And it's like you'd be in a camp out. We say like, where are you from? What's your spirit animal? And what's your rank? but it's not even that bad. It's like, if you're meeting people, but this is a military organization, allegedly. And like, well, if we can't open up to each other, how are we going to function together? And then they crash, and Tilly's arguing with them about what they're going to do. It's like, you're in charge here. You don't. I mean, that was the beauty of the Galileo 7 with Spock in charge, and he thought he was making the logical decisions all the way, and there's a conflict with the crew, and there's talk of mutiny a little bit there with the crew, but they still say yes, sir, we're going to do it, and that's why I love it, because Spock, learns he's got to use his human side for his intuition and to figure out what he's going to do. And, he does make some bad choices, but they were the, logical choices on the face value. And this whole episode with Tilly, and then they're on this ice planet, and there's these, space bugs, chasing them,
big giant lizards or whatever they were. Yeah.
They were like tentacled things. And they of course you have to turn off your power, otherwise they can't see you. And, she makes a sacrifice, of course, and I'm gonna make the sacrifice. Like, there's no one in charge. But the great thing about the episode, the phenomenal thing, was she leaves to go teach at Starfleet Academy. So LT, tell me she doesn't come back for the rest of the season?
She comes back
full time.
She. Do you want me to?
Does it matter? It's not.
Yes, yeah, yes. I don't care if you spoil this.
I was going to say, why don't you guys have this conversation off air so no one else?
I'll semi-spoil it for you, but I won't spoil it for you. Let's just say that she decides in the end to make the ultimate sacrifice with the Admiral, and that's all I'm going to say. So you'll get when you come to that scene.
Spoilers?
That's not spoilers, but she doesn't die, but when you get to that scene, you'll be like, oh, that's what LT was telling me about. Oh, my God, this is so cringe.
When you guys are actually respecting and can't give a shit about spoilers for this show,
it gets worse cringe. It gets so cringe. It's like, oh, my God, like, really? Really? That's your choice?
I respect sitting through it like you guys are doing, because I would too if I hated myself even more than I already do. But spoiler? Who cares if he spoilers it? I mean, Mark, you actually cared about him.
No, I don't care if he spoils it. No, that's okay. It doesn't.
Actually, LT, do not respect that show. Spoil the hell out of it.
I actually like the Admiral. I think
the Admiral's okay. Yeah.
Out of all of the characters, which by the way is 98% female, every single boss is female boss. You've got Vulcan boss, who's the president. You've got 3 different Federation/Earth bosses who are all female. You've got every single main character that's in a position of authority are all female, which is cool. That's cool. I get it. It's the future. And you've got the Admiral, who's like, yes, Madam President. Yes, like
Admiral No Balls.
Anyway, it's cringe. Like, it's cringe. I like the actor. I think he's a great actor.
Good. Yeah.
And I like the character. I think it's a cool character, but there's just so much about this show that is obviously not. It's not something directed at me. It's not something for a 40-plus-year-old white male who wants to watch Star Trek,
or anyone with a brain, or anyone who likes Star Trek.
Right, it's not for me, and that's
cool.
Hail
Apollo's minion and Pupper.
Is it really cool though? I'd have to definitely slightly differ with you on that one, sir.
Well, they've got no viewers, so obviously it's not working for them.
True.
I thought you were going to tell me, Mark.
Well, I know. Go ahead, Pat. Yep.
I was just going to say, I thought you were going to tell us that when she made the ultimate sacrifice on the ice planet was that she let the cadets cut her open and they all climbed into her carcass so they could survive the night. That would have been.
I think three times this season, Tilly was set up to make the ultimate sacrifice and didn't, and ended up surviving in the end. So there was lots of hugs and cries and affection at the end. Like every single episode that she was going to make the ultimate sacrifice and didn't, there was hugs.
Well, that's why I was hoping she wouldn't come back. So it might not be spoiled. It's not like asking spoilers for Blake 7. That you got to respect. But it's
or anything good at all. Such as not.
But it was just such cringeworthy TV tonight. It was just like, I can't believe how poorly this is written. And maybe one thing if it was like I guess that's true, but one thing it was like you're writing a group of kids going away for summer camp and their spaceship crashes. then that's basically what it was, But even like the scouts, we'd have more discipline. We'd have someone in charge, and leaders and things. It's just as Marty Spock says, yeah, logic. What's that? Yeah.
And every single one of them are lieutenant commanders now. Like they're all lieutenant. Lieutenant command. You Americans and you say lieutenant commanders. They're all these all these senior officers. But we know that that's a lieutenant commander. That's a lieutenant commander. But I don't know their names yet. I just know that they're lieutenant commanders. Like they're all the whole bridge crew is like, and they're not memorable. They're not memorable characters. They have there's maybe 3 or 4 characters who have had an arc, and it's just
well,
terrible
Doug
writing.
Jones is a great actor, I have to say, too, with some of the writing he's done.
He's the only character I actually really like in the show. I think and this season 2, he's got this relationship with the Vulcan president.
Yeah, does he get it on with the Vulcan president? I was inferring that in this episode, yeah.
No, they don't really get it on, but they have some angst and some drama.
Okay.
And because she's like supposed to be this illogical Vulcan, but then she has some emotions here and there, and she's like, and then she puts him in his place because he's a male, so she gets an opportunity to do that, and then I kid you not, I'm not kidding, that happens, and then Michael Burnham there gives him the whole like, well, she must like you if she's going to put you in your place kind of thing, and I'm like. Is this really being written into science fiction shows? Like, really? Anyway, sorry, I'm going to go off on another.
Star Trek.
Yeah, well, that was the other insane thing. I know we're wasting too much time on the show, but just fun to illustrate how. So they've got the Tal Shiar, which obviously appeared in Next Generation first, and of course, Mikey's Spock's mom becomes a Tal Shiar, which I thought was reserved for Romulan women, but of course they let her in the group anyway. But then they've got a fight.
Difference between either Romulans or Vulcans.
Yeah, and they got a fight with swords, right? Of course, I don't know why there's a group in the 24th century with no projectile weapons. They've got to fight with swords. So I think the group would probably not make it too far with those kind of strategies. But then Tilly, like the four of the Tal Shiar, like of course everyone has individual transporters now, so everyone can transport everywhere, which is ridiculous.
Wow.
Let's not forget. So the Zat Vash are the secret police that are the secret police to the secret police. So they're even more secret police than the Tal Shiar because they're all women, right? They're female Romulan assassins known as the Zat Vash, who are like 3 levels down from the secret. They're like worse than the Hand in the Marvel Universe, right? They're like the ninja assassins of the ninja assassins, and they're all women, and they're all crazy, and they have this, but yet they have this code of honor, which they have to take these tasks on, which are unattainable tasks, right? They're the reliable keepers of secrets and lies and. It's the secret sect of the Tal Shiar. I mean, oh my, how? Anyway, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, but I forgot it was Zat whatever name. Yeah, the
Zat Vash.
Zat Vash.
On P Hard.
Yeah, but it's like they're gonna take a Earth woman into their group.
Right.
And you had to go crazy to enter the group. You had to do that whatever that ceremony. But anyway, so Tilly, right, has even before this, they said, well. Oh, this is the other thing. She's got to get out of her comfort zone. She's talking to Saru. And there's another cringeworthy thing. And LT was throwing stuff at his TV and almost broke it during that scene, I'm sure.
I have black marks from my remote hitting my big screen downstairs. It's like
talking to your commanding officer and say, I need to get out of my comfort zone. And I ate a different food today. I tried macaroni and cheese. I crap you not, this was a line in the show. I actually tried something on my comfort zone. I tried macaroni and cheese. So the horrors.
I don't like that. It was awful. I'm like, oh my god.
And
wow.
And then she.
Yeah, she looked like somebody's never eaten carbs before. Go ahead,
I'm not commenting on anyone's weight ever. But I'm prefer the term dimensionally challenged. But anyway, so they're on the spaceship and the Tal Varshats, transport in, right, with all their swords. Until he gets in an effing sword fight. And one of the things they said to take her on the mission, well, she's not good in combat. That's low on her she's bad at combat, so she's fighting a sword fight with people that have trained their whole lives, and Romulans live 200 years.
200 years, yeah.
And she's able to hold her own. But of course, the other person that was in their crew that was part of their super secret ninjas, of course, she dies, but not Tilly.
Like in the first 30 seconds.
Yes. So she buys the farm, but Tilly is able to fight off people and fight, with the sword when she has no. And then when she gets the sword, they give her the sword because she can have a phaser, and then she drops it and makes some stupid line like, "Oh, it's a lot heavier than I thought it would be." Oh my god! It just, I almost wish you'd watch it, Mike, just to laugh at it.
I'm pretty sure it'd be hard. That's enough.
Well, all I'll say this is hashtag save gingers. At least we have a strong body positive female ginger in Star Trek.
Yeah, and she did have not you need to defend her, but she did have a baby, so I'm not gonna,
Well, the actor did, but the character
in real life, so in real life, but I'm hoping in the future they would have like some automatic stomach controller, so I wouldn't be fat in the 24/7.
You would think that would be something they wouldn't have at that point with the technology. But of course, they can't do that because they got to preach about body positivity and stuff. Yeah. If she were a good character, nobody would give a shit.
But she's a marathon runner, though. She was beating people who were 150 pounds and slim in that marathon race. And
holding a Twinkie in front of her, like with a.
Oh my goodness! It's so hilarious.
Well, that was one I actually rewound, LT, and that was the first season, and I've mentioned this a few times. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, and she was pretty fat in that first season.
Yep.
And she's training to be an officer. She wants to be a captain, and they're doing like a marathon. And there's like these 3 or 4 or 5 crew members who look like they do CrossFit and all super fit dudes and ladies, and then Tilly, I'm a fat SOB myself, so not picking on her for that, but she has this hallucination where she sees someone, so she stops running, and actually rewound it. She like stops running for like 3 or 4 minutes to interact with this,
and she still wins the race.
And then she comes back and wins the race. I'm like, what? Why? They should just had like her congratulations, you finished the race. Maybe they had her like win the whole race. I'm like,
maybe she's more of a sprinter. They're short games better.
A sprinter for a marathon is that's a lot of Ks. But I will say that because that was the entity that was her friend that came from the mycelium network. That's how we got the doctor back. That was the whole in on bringing the doctor back to life, right? That whole storyline is just ridiculous.
And then they forgot that she can. That was the girl that figured out. Princess figured out that you could reform the dilithium crystals after they exploded. And then the whole plot line from season 3 was the burn where the dilithium crystal exploded, but they forgot that they had the technology to fix all that from the first season.
From Star Trek 4 too.
Yeah, right. and the Romulans don't use dilithium crystals for warp drive.
No, they use they use a singularity.
Yeah, so you don't need that to go faster than light. So, but
when you use a controlled singularity to be able to the amount of power that you have that you can control from a controlled singularity that the Romulans do, which by the way, I hate that part of Next Generation. That's the technological acumen that it would cost to be able to do something like that is just beyond what I think that kind of technology we've seen in Next Generation would have, but anyway.
But they forgot about it, right? Which is which is pretty amazing that you would be writing a show and not one person would know. Like if we're talking FF Comics or something, and we said something like, did something Wyatt Wingfoot say, more obscure character these days, and say, he was dating so and so.
She-Hulk.
He never dated She-Hulk ever. He was dating Crystal, say, right? And someone would point out, no, it was actually Johnny that was dating Crystal.
That's right.
Steve's leaving.
Take care, Stevie. I know he's been having.
I should probably run too. I'm sure my wife is wondering. You got to work tomorrow morning. It's Monday.
Oh, Steve's not leaving.
Take care, Steve.
Running away.
No, he's had a lot of
feeling
stuff.
well. So I hope you feel better and hope Maddie feels better, brother.
Yeah, feel better, man.
Yeah.
And I think we're only going to go for another 15 minutes anyway because I got to get to work too. So I figure I'm trying to do 2-hour shows. So I think
that's
we'll.
cool.
So if you want to hang for the, we'll chop off. We'll tilly it at midnight.
That Space Angel, that was like that old Clutch Cargo cartoon, I think. Hungry Boy. Remember Clutch Cargo? If you do, you're old and weird.
So
I love this discussion, though. This is a lot of fun because making fun of Star Trek Discovery, I could go for hours. Just and that's just the latest season.
Oh my god, the third season was a disaster. I know you guys sorry, you haven't. Other guys haven't seen it, but this is cathartic for LT and I, and it shows that it's like
we'll allow it then. Your show.
And you know, it's not showing like, oh, well, you don't want to accept, you know, this kind of show. It's like, no, the writing is horrible and the stories are horrible. I mean, I love gingers, right? I married a ginger, so it's like, come on.
Oh, there you go.
I wanted to be a good character.
I knew there was a reason I liked you.
Yeah, there we go.
We love gingers.
Yeah. So,
my wife tries not to admit that. She says, "No, my husband's not a ginger. What do you mean?" No, I'm kidding. She loves it.
And you just hate women, is all. You guys hate women, clearly.
I think so.
Show.
Well, I've been watching.
Personally, I love women. I mean, all the porn sites I browse every day is perfectly suited to that.
There you go.
I was accused of going. There you go. I was accused of too much
never
Gorn,
such things, but...
Gorn last night.
No, I'm not allowed to.
By the great Eric K.
Really?
That super chat Eric K had last night. Mark has too much Gorn. We were joking about the Gorn.
Gorn porn?
Watching too much Gorn.
Oh, and Hungry Boys.
On Gorn Hub.
I saw his picture they did. That was very cool. Very cool art. So nice.
You saw it? Yeah, great art. Hungry Boy, you're amazing, dude. That's really great stuff.
Very cool. Yeah,
it is good stuff, man.
Yep, nice. You're real.
I have a real quick question.
There. Sure.
The captain of the Discovery's mom's a Romulan.
You want?
Oh God!
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Captain Marty Squawk. Thank you, man. We're just having a great chill stream, having some fun and some laughs, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
If my mom was a Romulan, I would just keep giving her fake data crystal rods, saying that the founders are trying to start a war with them.
But you know, the funny thing is,
I just keep giving them to her.
Technically, Romulans aren't Romulans anymore because the Vulcans and the Romulans all had reunification, and now they're all on the same planet, which isn't called Vulcan anymore.
It's called Navarre.
So are they still in the future? Now they're back from the future.
They went 1,000 years in the future.
Yep.
All I want to know in the future is this: do the Bills ever win a Super Bowl 1 and 2?
No.
Are there still Twinkies?
Who won the war between the Gorns and the Klingons?
Well, we don't know. We haven't seen Gorns or Klingons in Discovery.
Well, no, we did. No, the first season Discovery.
For the first season.
Oh yeah, the first season. Yeah, you're right.
But that was in the past. Though, don't forget.
That's right.
The one I can answer though is the Bills will never win a Super Bowl as long as the cigarette smoking man is running things. Remember the cigarette smoking man?
Wow, that's a great.
He said that in an episode of X-Files. He said, as long as I'm running the things, the Bills will
Bobby
never win
wins the internet tonight. Good job, right before midnight, too, bro.
Anytime I get a chance to see Dana Scully, I'm in.
Yeah, I've been watching Yellowstone or Jellystone with the wife, so we're up to 2 more episodes of the first season. But there's one cute redhead on that show too. So
there is.
Yeah.
My Lord, Mark, how do you get time to build Legos, dude? You watch all kinds of TV.
I know. I don't. So I gotta make some time this week. It's a busy week too. So.
My wife and I actually finished Yellowstone. We've actually been starting 1883. We watched the first 2 episodes tonight.
Is it good?
Though you hate prequels.
Yeah, it's very much a Western kind of story. The cameos, like Tom Hanks is in it, Billy Bob Thornton is in it. Like they're only cameos for the first 1 and 2 episodes, but it's been a lot of fun. I must say that show, Yellowstone especially, we really like it a lot. Now, of course, there's some woke SJW stuff, but we get through it because the story is so good.
So how would you rate the first season compared to the other? Does it keep getting better? Because I thought the first season's been excellent so far.
I'd say the worst. The first season is best. Second season's pretty good too. I think it's not as good. Third and fourth season are not as good, but we love the first and second seasons especially. But it's still even the ones after the second season are good. 1883, we just like I said, just watched the first 2 episodes and we thought it was fun. So
Well,
I'm in on this franchise.
What's 1883?
Prequel.
It's a spin-off. Yeah, it's a prequel.
Something like that. Something like that can work though because it's so open-ended, or there's no real canon there. You just know they end up with the ranch. It's not a spoiler. John Dutton has the ranch, so the story of how you get the ranch. So there's really no. It's not like Star Trek where you're going back into a time where you've already told, and you've got all these story points you should adhere to, and you're messing with things that were canon, and you don't want to contradict anything. So that's kind of an open-ended, how the West was won kind of prequel. Even though I haven't seen any of it, but that'd be my take on that kind of that's a good story to tell.
You guys, I respectfully disagree with you. I love Dana Scully and Bryce Dallas Howard, but Christina Hendricks is the ultimate change.
Ooh, I love Christina Hendricks.
For me, anyway.
Right?
In my opinion.
We need to have a ginger night where we just talk about how the hot gingers, all the hot gingers are there.
I look at all those sites on Instagram.
Can we invite our wives?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
my wife likes to dye her hair a little bit red, so I appreciate how all the women out there want to dye their hair red because they want to be us.
Yeah. Redheads rule, yep. And there's and we keep losing them in popular culture, unfortunately. So which is not so good.
Which is too bad.
Yep. But we want to save those redheads. So we did a great discovery segment tonight. So that was good.
The word "great" and the word discovery, at least when it comes to STD, should never be in the same sentence.
I was teeing you up for that. Yeah. Well, it was a good discussion. It was a fun. It was good to get that out. You laid that one
right down the center plate at low speed.
Boom. Let me smack this out of the park.
That was a knuckleball that didn't knuckle.
Yep. No, thankfully.
Wait a minute, Christina's. How dare you, sir? Christina is never a blonde. How dare you, hungry boy? Don't speak that way about my wife.
Yeah.
No. If it's true, I'm still saying no.
No, I'm joking. Whenever I say Yellowstone, I always just say Jellystone, because why not, right?
Yeah. You're just thinking about Yogi Bear. So.
Yogi Bear here, yeah.
So that's on. How do you watch that again? It's on what?
It's on Paramount Plus, I believe. Yep, Paramount Plus. Yep. So another So eventually we got
Peacock or something.
Or was that Peacock?
Is it the same?
No, there's different. No, it is Peacock. You're right. It's Peacock. Even though it's a Paramount show, but it's on Peacock. Go figure.
I'm trying to think. We've been watching it. Have we been watching it on Amazon? I'm trying to think. I think we were watching it on Amazon. Well, I'm Amazon Prime in Canada.
It's in Canada.
Yeah.
Oh, so it might be different. I don't think it's on Amazon in the States, but everything's different all over. But
I know we were watching. We weren't sailing the 7 seas for it. So I'm pretty. I think it was Amazon we were watching it on. Mylene would know, but she's in the bedroom.
Make fun of Peacock all you want. They had the highest watched television show last night, and they probably will again tonight.
Well, with Yellowstone or
no, WrestleMania is on.
WrestleMania
in America.
Anyway, it was in Rhode Island. It was my neck of the woods this year. Yep. Yeah, I usually watch. I love wrestling, so I got to go.
Did you hear who won last night?
No, I didn't hear who won. So I think didn't Stone Cold come back?
Stone Cold came back, brother, and took it off.
All right,
definitely on Peacock.
It's on Peacock. All right, yep. And then the other funny thing I was reading about too was, Cole House. Yeah, well, let's see, who was it? This actress though, she had like an Elizabeth Warren moment. She said she was Native American. The one who plays the teacher, the wife of Casey. And it turned out her dad is Asian, her mom is from North Carolina or South Carolina, so she got in trouble for having an Elizabeth Warren moment. So she kept getting all these jobs playing Native Americans, and it's like, nope, your mom is Chinese. So that was interesting, but she's a good actress and very easy on the eyes too. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, you ever notice people who are Indians? Nobody's ever from like a lesser known tribe or a tribe you didn't know.
Yeah, it's always
like
the
everybody's
Cherokees,
always
right? Yeah.
Apache or Cherokee or some badass Aztec or something. Nobody's ever like, I was a Missouri Crow, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. I don't know much about that breed,
But and all the tribes have registries too, so you can't just say you don't do a DNA test. I have a friend whose mom is Cherokee, and there's a registry of of the tribe, and when they were on the reservation, then they so they track all the genealogy, so they know, maybe I guess some people could be missed, but I think people were just trying to saying, oh, they were Native American, and using that to get jobs or to do to get to get ahead, and it's just
Right.
not right. But the show was it's been a good show so far, so I enjoy it. But yeah, it's been fun. So
Well, there you go.
so watched that in UFO this weekend and built part 2 of the Batwing. So very busy. And I ran a Pinewood Derby this morning for the Cub
Wow.
Scouts. So
You ran?
Nice. Who
I
won?
ran it. Well, I can't say the name, but yeah, someone in one of the, it was like the town-wide championship. So of course in our town, well, I'll show you real quick. This is where the Pinewood Derby ran. Let me grab a picture, then we'll cut out of here. Let's see. Let me find a picture. This was a pretty cool place to do a Pinewood Derby. Let's see. I'm trying to find a picture that's got. Let's see. Here's or I can show this one.
Kristen Delorme. Hello there.
Hey, Christian. So here's
Hey.
here's where the Pinewood Derby was in a Ferrari Ferrari dealership. So how cool!
Serious up there.
You got a picture of you running?
That's me running. See, so I'm running the track. See, here's the computer setup, so you can see who the dummy races are there. But so we're in a Ferrari dealership. So it's there's one car I'll show here. Let's see. I don't want to show any of the the kids pictures or anything, but here's let's see here. This car we can show. We'll play a guess if you can guess what the car is and how much it's worth. If there's any car buffs out in the audience.
Is that Magnum's old car? No.
No, that's not Magnum's. No, that's a new car. Yeah.
Some picture of Magnum for a new one.
Not a
That's
Porsche? No.
It's a Porsche.
No, that's a Ferrari.
That's a
It's
Ferrari.
a Ferrari. Oh.
Yep, with the dancing horse. Yep, to the prancing horse.
Oh yeah,
yep.
the horse. Okay, I can't see that well.
So any or in the chat, if you want to guess what it is or how much you think the car is worth. Yep.
I was born and raised in the car business, but I don't keep up with anything with new cars that much. I know nothing about the new
$397,000.
Okay, so we got all right. So we got
Probably
Hungry
close.
Boys 400, 397. Okay,
I'm gonna go 700 grand.
Oh, you got too high, Clive. It's whoever the closest without
125.
going over.
Okay, and I'll tell you a little bit about the car. So, of course, let's see how many were built. So they built 500 of these coupes, and then they built 210 more. So 710 in existence with this car, and it was built between 2013 and 2016. And if you notice the wheel lug there's only one lug, so it's basically a Formula One car that's street legal. Matthew Mass says 10K.
Okay.
All right. So it's actually a LaFerrari, and the guy at the dealer said it's for sale right now for $4 million.
It's not bad.
Whoa.
So the Cub Scouts were not allowed to touch it. It was
$4 million.
$4 million. Yep.
And
million,
it
yep.
doesn't go past the speed of sound or anything.
It goes. Let's see. It goes warp 13.
Does it transform into an Autobot?
Good month for that
Nope.
month.
No. What's
Come on,
0
man.
to 60 here? Let's see. What's 0 to 60? Let's see. And it also has an electric motor in there, so 950 horsepower total. Let's see. What's the performance here?
Eric
And it's
K,
all
the
carbon.
bronze renter.
Hey, Eric K.
Hey, Eric K. Good to see you, man.
4 million by 2, one for weekdays, one for weekends. Yep. So, one is sold for $7 million. Yeah. Let's see. What's the 0 to 60? Come on.
If I had that kind of money, I'd buy the Batmobile.
Yeah, right. Okay, so top speed
65 Batmobile.
Top speed 218 miles an hour, 0 to 100 or 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds.
Wow.
0 to 124 in 6.9 seconds. 0 to 186 in 15 seconds.
She'll make 0.5 past light speed. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid. Plus, I made a few special modifications myself.
How'd she do the Kessel run?
In 12 non-parsecs, because that made no sense, but still.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, they tried to explain that away. Yeah, over here we'll show the Magnum car right here. Let's show this. I can pull this one over here.
Are you advertising for that movie, or what's going on there?
There you go. Wow, they put it under something.
So you have all these lifts. Yep. So there's the 308. Yep. And everyone loves that car. Out of all the cars that everyone's looking at, everyone just loves the 308, the Magnum.
Robin Masters car, really, but
yep.
Magnum.
So everyone just
get out of that car.
Everyone goes crazy about that car. So
what if somebody hit that lift thing by accident?
Oh, I was going to tell the guy. Yeah, I said, what would happen?
You bump by something and you actually trip or some shit. Tim's top. What's up, dude?
Hey, Tim Stock, how's it going? Yeah.
You crushed
308. 308. That's the size of the rounds in my sniper rifle.
Yeah.
Clavy just totally doxed Robin Masters.
Yeah,
basically
said,
Robin Masters. We all know that Higgins was Robin Masters.
And then
they never admitted on the series, though.
They did.
Did they? Okay, I don't remember all of it. I really don't.
Had an episode where Higgins and Magnum, toward the end, they thought they were going to die in this elevator. They were trapped in this building, and he admitted it to him. And then when they got out, he lied. But then later, in that they had an episode that was supposed to be the last Magnum episode ever. When he tells him Magnum was dying, and he's trying to tell Magnum, if you'll never find out who Robin Masters is, he tells him. And then, of course, Magnum's like walking off into heaven, and he's hearing this, Magnum, come back at once. Yeah. And then it ends. But then Tom Selleck decided to do it for another season. So he said, oops.
Oops, yep. So when, this is the underneath of a Ferrari. See, that's pretty cool, huh? That's all covered up. Just in case you ever wanted to know, right?
Wow.
So they have all these cars, and this was... Yeah,
I want Straker's car. I'd rather have Straker's car.
Oh, that's a cool car. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we said we'd hit the 12 o'clock curfew before we turned into pumpkin. So, I know a couple of people just got here, but it's been a fun show. And then why don't you? We'll give Clobbering Times the floor to talk about that special show tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night, everyone. Tonight to some people, I guess.
Yep.
Monday night, Mark C. Comics Talk. It'll be a half hour earlier than usual. I will have no guests. I'll be doing a show by myself because I don't need anybody to do this review. Just kidding. Clobby's classic comic review of a classic comic book, of course, because I wouldn't review one that's not a classic review on Classic Comics Review because that'd be silly, wouldn't it? Two extraordinary gentlemen will be joining me. Of course, the great chief engineer, Model D with a C, and the great chief of security, Lord Thoth. We will be reviewing the 1982 Marvel miniseries Wolverine by Chris Claremont, Frank Miller, and Joe Rubinstein, and all 4 issues of it. And it's going to be fun. We're going to break it down for you, which has never been done our way before. Andy,
I got to find mine in the long boxes. Hey, Andy.
I just read it again today for the first time in I don't know how long.
I love that series. That'll be great doing that with you guys. Yep.
And sorry I had to move it back about half hour on their LT. I hope that's okay.
Nope, there's LT here. Yep.
He fell asleep.
He fell asleep.
It's midnight. He powered down.
Tilly got him. Yep.
Oh, sorry, man.
No. Yeah, because I have a scout. I'm a scoutmaster, so I have the scout meetings on Monday night, so I won't be home.
We'll definitely be talking about Rubenstein quite a bit, Hungry Boy, because that art. I mean,
that's basically his art, isn't it?
Gary, Gary.
He did the layout.
When I talked to Gary last week, I was talking to him about that comic, and at one of his members streams, and he talked about how Joe Rubenstein used to come into a shop all the time, and he got some art from that thing and stuff like that.
Nice,
Cool.
Great stuff. Yep. So, Pat S., what you got coming up for the week that you can highlight for us?
We're just working on Brandon's Hours. We're working on a new show for 24. He's doing really well. He's right at about 900 hours. And now that Mark's informed me of this, I will be looking for acting jobs for Native Americans, because unlike all of you on the panel, I am actually 1/16 a Cowie. So maybe I could get some gigs now.
You could, yep. You should. Go for it. Yep. So, yep, that'll be looking forward to that. And Brandon getting his watch hours up, and
good luck.
Yeah,
Brandon.
he's pretty close,
doing great, and 24's just knocking it out, man. 24's doing like
he's great,
a video and a half a day, for a whole week. So he's been doing really, really well.
Hey, Joe. That's great to hear. Yep. So I had a new, I boomered a video, and Phantom Outsider told me that I boomered it. So I did a review of Justice League Ornament. So thanks to him. So I'm going to put that link in if you guys haven't watched it. Check, I'm sure most of you have, but check that out. So I did a total boomer moment and didn't listen to the rest of my video. And
that's
half of
that's
the
a
video.
great ornament too, Mark. Go watch that video, y'all. The great thing about that ornament is it's based on the cartoon from Super Friends and everything. And of course, when they finally make a playset of that, Mark, I don't know if you know the history of that, which was the last season, is basically the same time that the playset came out. They actually changed the headquarters. It was no longer the Hall of Justice, which I think is based on some building in Cleveland or something that they based it on and everything and all. Yeah. But when that playset came out, which looks a lot like the cartoon and everything, they changed headquarters. They have a whole new headquarters. I don't even know if it was called the Hall of Justice anymore, but yeah. Interesting aside, but good video, dude. Cool ornament. You said how much is it right now? Like $9.99?
Yeah, $12.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. And Eric K says from Zenli should get something. That's true.
Just say buy two and send one to Nick Weiser. So you can have one for his eclectic Christmas tree. That cat, he's got about 50 different ornaments from 50 different IPs. It's really cool. I'm not making fun. I think it's an awesome.
No, the same here.
Yeah.
Yep, so.
Hail Nick Weiser. Yep. Eric is from Zenla. He is Norrin Rad.
Yep. And LT, of course, you're obviously going to be on the show. Do you have anything else? Do you have any videos on your channel yet? Are you threatening to do anything, or
threatening? Yeah, my wife keeps smacking me in the back of the head and saying, "How come we're not doing stuff together?" Because she keeps wanting to. Every time we watch something that's woke or SJW, she wants to get in on it too because she hates it too. She wants a guy opening the door for her. She's a strong woman. She's very independent. She's a VP in charge of communications and marketing for a big insurance company. So she's like very, very strong woman, and she wants to jump on and do this stuff. And I'm like, I'm the one who's the timid guy, so which is kind of funny. But yeah, sorry, I was away there for a minute there. I had someone talking to me, but yeah, no, I have one video I think is like 2 minutes long on my channel, but I just, to be honest, I like helping you guys out and just dropping in when I can and saying hello and talking about comic books and pop culture and and discovery anytime I can, any chance I can get. And and when you sent me the invite tonight, I was here in front of the computer. I went, hey, why not? I might as well jump on and just talk about some stuff. And I try to be as positive as possible because that's really what I like to do. Is I like to be optimistic and hope for the best, and that's why I love being on Clobby's or being in the chat for Clobby's Star Trek stream on Saturday nights. That's what's the most fun. Is it's kind of funny because I say this and then I realize How many D's have I given out to Star Trek: The Next Generation in
Quite
the
a
last?
few.
Yes,
more than anybody else.
There's
You
been
are
a lot
problematic.
of D's.
You're
One
mean.
up to-
You're mean.
But classic Trek, I think you can count on one hand how many D's I gave out for TOS, but it's a lot of fun, guys. I love just chatting with you guys and having a
Great
good
hangout.
time, and that's what's the fun
Likewise,
stuff.
bud.
So
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
and I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. We're talking about Wolverine. Logan's my favorite Marvel character, my favorite Marvel superhero. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity to discuss, one of the greatest limited series of all time.
Oh God,
I
it's so
just
good,
reread
yeah.
it.
We'll save
I
it
just
for
reread
tomorrow
it today,
night,
and
but
it was
Yep.
it's so good, yeah. It's that good.
Do you know, it's kind of funny because I wanted to reread it today too, which I did, and it took me an hour to go through my list, and I'm like, okay, and then I was 15 minutes in, and I went, oh yeah, Control F still works, right? And Control F Wolverine, and going through my list, and which comic boxes, long boxes, right? And
Oh, you have to find it, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I have over 90 long boxes of comic books, so
Wowzers.
which one is it? And I know it's
90. I'm
it's
a poser.
16. So I had to go dig 16, which of course is at the bottom of the pile, right? And but yeah, no, that's just I can't wait to talk about that. And the Great Darkness saga too, whenever we get around to that.
I can't wait, dude. I've reread that about a year and a half ago, but I can't wait to reread it again when we do it. Man, that Wolverine, I still have my trade of that. Although I was reading a digital, I have my trade of that. One of the first trades they did back then. Then it's from like in the mid '80s when they put it in trade. So like now trade paperbacks are so expensive now, but that was like $6.
Well, I bought that too, yeah, just so I didn't trash my. I knew even back then, eventually that'd be worth something. So I bought the trades because I would read that all the time too, and I'm like, hey, let me just read the trade, when that came out. So
plus I got a lot of other stuff. We got some info coming. There was two, but last month, my favorite magazine of all, back issue. I love those Tomorrow's Max and stuff. It was all devoted to that and other miniseries too. But there's a big write up on that.
Nice.
So got kind of fun info about that. So
great. So all right. So it's been awesome having you guys. Really appreciate everyone watching and listening and geeking out with us. And you had a great time on Saturday Night Star Trek, so I appreciate you giving me the chance to. I can't fill Raquel's shoes, but it was nice to be on there and show off my my starship. So
appreciate
that was
you
a lot
being
of fun.
There.
Thank you. And I'm thinking of doing a watch party for TMP some point during the week. So I don't know if you and Raquel will be up for that, or either watch it. Yeah, so that'd be a fun thing to do. I don't know if anyone in the chat would be up for that. I got to figure out a way to share it, maybe, or there's ways to do it, but I'd love to experience that with you guys. So especially seeing that in 4K, I just love that movie. But tomorrow night I'll be on. We're doing Porky's on Toxic Tuesday night, which is tomorrow night now. Toxic Tuesday. So when I clip that, I got to be extra careful. So it's already
buddy.
now.
You do. Yeah.
And of course Thursday night we'll be with the Clubhouse. And then we're all looking forward to Saturday Night Star Trek again. And then we'll be back next Sunday for Sunday Night Geekery. So thanks for everyone, all my guests. And let's say goodnight to, let's see, the chat. So we got Captain Marty Spock. We got the Great Hungry Boy, Steve Mitchum, and, of course, Maddie, who prevented him from typing. Annie River Gill. Dadman was here. Let's see, who else? I think I said Matthew Patton. Of course, the awesome... Bronze Runcher Eric K, who's from Zen La. Yep. And I think I said Captain Marty Spock. Christian was here.
DeLorme,
yep. Tim Stock was here.
I love Hungry for More Silver Age Quality.
I love
that's
that name.
The perfect name ever.
Perfect. Yes, Matthew Pounder. Yeah.
Yep. And Matthew Pounder, Andy Masterson, the great maker of action figures, Pop Culture Republic. Yep. And if I missed anyone, I'm sorry, but I always appreciate people hanging out. And
Captain Skywalker,
Dadman, yep, and Captain Skywalker, yep, thank you. And I got to go finish putting away my spaceships, my starships, because the wife was not happy. I pulled the boxes out of the attic.
I knew you were going to get in trouble for that.
She's like, not the batteries on those things. Like I left some batteries in a few of my good Enterprise ships, watch batteries, so. They were okay, but I had to fix, the leads get messed up. You got to they're very temperamental, those things. So I spent like 4 hours today cleaning ships, cleaning fake
Lord.
spaceships, and
all my
dealing-
Hallmark ornaments too. I had to take all the
Yeah.
batteries out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's a lot of work. It's a tough life, but yeah. But you know, it was a lot of fun tonight, and I really appreciate you guys. And here, let's play a couple. Well, first we're talking about cons. We got to do this. And one more time. I gotta clip TMP, but TMP doesn't have as many awesome quotes like that. But yep. But thank you, everyone. And here I'm gonna play the. Let's just play the Blues Brothers to get us out of here, and catch you all on the next Sunday Night Geekery. Thanks,
Live
everyone.
long and prosper.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.